fellow garden gnomes, this is Brittany. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be mixing up my own batch of seed starting mix. Now this is my first time trying this, so I did a lot of research and I looked at a lot of different recipes. Different people do different things, and I guess as you go along you find out what works better and change the recipe accordingly. Typically people will start their seed starting mixes with 3 ingredients. One will be the majority of the mix, and it's usually either coconut coir or peat moss. Typically peat moss, but I think coconut coir has become a little more popular because there has been some concern that the peat moss isn't totally sustainable, although I've heard opposing views on that. But I have personally ended up choosing coconut coir because peat moss is also slightly acidic, so when you're making a mix you have to add a little bit of dolomitic lime to return the pH of your mix to a pH that your plants will like a little better. The other 2 ingredients that people typically add to their seed mixes are vermiculite and perlite. Vermiculite helps retain moisture, so it absorbs moisture, and then perlite helps add some space in your mix that helps with drainage. And at first it seems counterintuitive to include both vermiculite and perlite in the mix, since retaining moisture and adding more drainage seems kind of to counteract each other. But a lot of people seem to use both, so I'm going to guess that it's a good idea if it seems to be tried and true. Now the one issue I had with these recipes were that they were totally sterile, and although I understand why that is, because seedlings are very young and very vulnerable, and so you want to try and minimize any exposure to potential pathogens, I also don't see how that kind of mix would sustain growth, since it doesn't possess anything with nutrition in it. So I would have had to add fertilizers probably to sustain the growth past a certain point. I decided to do some more searching and look to see if there were any recipes where people put in something that would provide nutrition, and there were. Some put in vermicompost and others put in well-rotted compost. The theme here seems to be that it has to be very well composted, because that way you're at least minimizing the chance of exposing your small seedlings to pathogens. So here I have a big bin where I put my coconut coir. Basically you get the coconut coir as a big compact cube and you add moisture to it. I only ended up using half the package since it would give me about 3 cubic feet of coconut coir, and I didn't really have a big enough container for that, so instead I used half of it and got 1.5 cubic feet of the coconut coir, which I realized was a good thing since that filled up about half of this bin, and I'm obviously going to be adding more stuff to it, so I couldn't have had the whole package. So I've got some coconut coir here. It's still a little moist because I put a cap on it to keep some of the moisture in, since I knew I would be making this potting mix, and it's always nice to have a potting mix that's moist before putting it into your pots, so you can see the nice crumbly texture. So this being the largest proportion of my mix will really make sure that roots can easily penetrate the mix, and there's no compaction that's going to happen. So what I'm going to be adding to this coconut coir is this well-rotted sheep manure, half a bag of vermiculite, and half a bag of perlite. And I did the calculations based on what the different bags said, and I figure that what I'll end up with is a mix that's about 1/2 coconut coir, about 1/4 the well composted manure, and the last 1/4 an equal combination of perlite and vermiculite. And I figure that's good to start. As I go along, maybe at the end of this seed starting season, I might decide that next year I want to maybe add a little bit more manure in proportion to everything else, or even add a little bit less. I don't know. I'll just have to see how this goes. So to really nicely mix this up, I've got kind of a stick right here. And I think I'll go ahead and add the vermiculite and perlite since that'll be easier to mix in. I believe both perlite and vermiculite come from sort of volcanic rock. Like perlite, it says it's a expanded volcanic glass, whereas vermiculite, it's not, as it just says an expanded micaceous mineral. But anyway, I've been told that as you're pouring it in, because it kicks up a lot of dust, it's really better to sort of turn your face away from it so that you inhale as little as possible. Is already pretty full, so I'm definitely going to have to add the manure a little bit at a time just to make sure I don't overflow and that's not too difficult to mix it in. I'm actually going to leave it at that for the manure. There's still about a third, maybe a quarter to a third of the bag left, but after getting a good look at this, it's I think it's just about right, and plus it's almost at the very top of the bin anyway, so it would have been really hard to continue to get it all stirred in. So I'm gonna just leave it like this. As you can see, it's still nice and crumbly, which is great because it means that you know, the roots will be able to get all the air that they need. They'll be able to get all the moisture that they need. Hopefully not too much moisture. I'll bring you in for a closer look. You can see what I mean now by that it's almost full. I'm not sure I'll use this much in my seed starting, but I'll definitely use some of it for repotting some of my indoor plants, and then I'll use the rest, and I'll probably have to make some more of this for my potato containers outside. Nice and crumbly. So what I'm thinking is that since this is an experiment, I might, with at least some of my seeds, I might do half of them in this mix and half of them in a standard store-bought mix that I still have. It seems a shame what with how much of this I have it, but I also don't want to totally risk losing all of my plants if in fact this is a no-go. So I don't know. I'm thinking about playing it safe. I'm going to be planting some of my seeds tonight, and definitely if you guys want to see them, I highly encourage you to go over to my Instagram, Brittany_Dane, and or my Facebook, Brittany Dane Garden. There I'll probably be posting videos of my seedlings. I mean, you won't see much since all you'll see is flats filled with soil, but you'll get an idea of how much I've planted. And I'll probably post more pictures as the seedlings grow on either of those pages. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll definitely be talking about how this soil is performing for me in future videos. So if you really want to see some of that, please hit subscribe. I also have tons of other gardening related videos in addition to other sustainability and homesteading related videos. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you think that other people might get something out of it, please share it with your friends. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay wildly green.